living in my car, cranking it and letting it run all night so I can sleep in the back seat. And this whole life that I used to live ago, that when you get kind of far away, you get a little docile, You're just kind of stable, and I think we were talking about this last night. You're kind of like, there's not a lot of places I really need God. I mean, I know I need him, but it's not like I need him so I can have a place to stay tonight or food in my stomach, or maybe he'll move on the judge next week, Tuesday, 9 a.m., so I don't go to jail for 45 years. It wasn't like that kind of instance. The rocks got smaller, and he brought me back as I was blowing all these leaves off, and I was like, God, I hope this battery runs out. I want to go back inside. But it was really good for me. And he said, John, the gospel is very simple. It's really you knowing that I am life, and without me, you are in death. Like this morning, Pastor Brad said, if you don't give him an area of your life, it's going to be death, and it's going to feel like death. You can complain about it because it is death, and that's the Lord going, yeah, dummy, give me a control. and then you can't complain when the trials come, right? Because that is how he works. So he took me to all different kinds of places. So I'm kind of going to bounce around, and it's going to seem like I have ADD. It's because I do. Okay. But that's okay. And then we can call it BAD, and you can get spanked for it. All right. So yeah, I think before this, I was in the living room, and I don't know what I was doing. I was probably grabbing the bottle or doing something with the kids. And I began to just think about, it's just this season is what gets me, because in September, that's when I was going to back and forth to court, and I always remember that. I have a reminder in my calendar. It says the day that I got out of jail, and it's been there since 2004. And I just put it there just as a reminder. Thank God that I'm not in prison, because if everything would have went how it was supposed to in the court system, I would be in jail until I was 61 years old. And I'm only 42. I'm just a young old man. But I think about that because it's easy to forget. It's really easy. I go to work. Work kind of goes as planned sometimes. And then you come home and, it's home life. But there's really no like, oh, my God, I need you so bad, And I think about stuff like that. So I began to think about people that are in our jail system, that are in our city, that are looking for help. They want help. They're in rehabs, and they don't really know. Like Mickey was saying, they want to come home, but they have to clean up first. I used to say this, man, I can't be around them people like this. But I would try and clean myself up. This is so demonic. I'm like, I'm going to get to a point where I can go and be around them. We were talking about this yesterday too. My friend plays golf at Southern Trace all the time. And I was like, man, we've been friends since we were 5, and you've never invited me to play golf. Are you afraid I'll run your friends off or hit it with the golf ball? And he's like, well, you kind of have to be in a certain place. And I said, you're so hateful. That's so mean. Gosh. But we were having a lot of fun. But really, people think like this. Especially like me. Well, here's what happened. I tried to clean myself up so much. I got so bad off, I didn't even care. I was like, here I come. I'm coming in. Help, Lord, help. It got really bad then. And I didn't care what anybody thought, whatever. And but that's kind of how it is. It's like that. You just get real bad. So don't be scared if people start showing up and they're really bad. Just think they were trying to clean themselves up. And that is so sad to me. Like, man, I want to clean up so I can be accepted. And it's not an acceptance thing, Man, come in because you're in death, brother. Come and get life. I remember the scripture, it says, oh, that you would have life. And I would choose death all the time. I was like, if things were going to go good over here, I would go to destruction, you know. I was like, yes, I know what that feels like. I don't know how victory works. I don't live well there because I never have. I've never lived in victory. That's why I told Christine when we got married. I was like, hey, you'll learn very quickly. I don't really understand victory. I lived in addiction longer than I've lived in good life, you know. So if I burn things down, it's just what I do, you know. But that doesn't have to be like that. You can help me. You can help that shift in me because that's just my normal, you know. And that's not the Lord, but that's an area that I was like, okay, Lord, I'll give you this. He didn't put his finger on it, but I was like, hey, I don't want to be like this. I want to be a good parent. I don't really know how to do anything else. You know, I do know how to tear things down. I can burn it down really good. You know, I'm a professional at that. So another thing that really impacted my life was discipleship. I wish that I could go back and tell all the people that tried to help me, thank you. But I cursed a lot of these people to their face. I made their life really hard. I was hateful to them. I remember one guy, me and this other guy, we were, he was from Cedar Grove, okay? All right, don't judge him. I was too. But he was a real gangster. I mean, this guy had a gun big as my stomach in his seat, you know, and he had the wheels, and we showed up to Oxford Street to meet this other guy named JQ that had a bunch of teardrops. That just means he cries a lot. So we go and meet him there, you know, and I get out of the car, and we had just got done doing drugs. And this guy walks out of Oxford Street. I'll never, ever forget this. He walks out, and I had just got out of the car, and we were walking up, and this guy walks straight up to me. He goes, young man, God loves you so much. He's got a call on your life, young man. And I just got as close as I could to him, and I just blew smoke in his face. And I just started cursing him and hollering at him. And he just turned and walked away. It was right off of Mansfield Road. I'll never, ever forget that. And I felt like such a big man, you know. But I cursed the Lord Jesus. I mean, he had walked out of there. And I just thought, you know, that guy was like, what was all that about? And I was like, I don't know. But I knew what it was about. I knew inside God was telling me, you need to get off these streets. You're going to die out here. They're going to kill you. You don't belong out here. Your life is in my house. And I was running from the house. But there's people running from the house. When I get on the news, I'm looking. I'm like, they're running from home. That's why they're in jail. That's why they're bound up and all messed up. But people are nervous to get around these people. But I don't know. My heart is just like, my heart goes out because I lived out there. And I know like how it's a spider web. It's a big web. And, you know, he's sitting up here and you're all tangled up, you know. And I don't know. I think it was a long, long time ago. Christine told me, I had a dream and you were picking up these broken butterflies. And I mean, to me, that is when I am in my zone, you know. And I don't know. I don't like the word ministry and mode. And I don't know. I feel like I was born to be around sinners. I was absolutely created because I was a good one. I feel like there was like the sinner list, and I was like, check, you know. But because I was trying to get away from God, you know, I don't want to be around the Lord, you know, because I didn't know him. Have you ever not wanted to be around somebody, but you really got to know him? You're like, wow, what an idiot, what a dummy. Like, what a real idiot. This person's really awesome. I remember when I used to get around Brad when I was younger, and he would offend me so much. And I was like, gosh, I don't like what he said, you know? And he would just smile, and I would just, but there was so much love. And if you, on the outside, people are going to look a certain way because that's all they know. That's all the zip code taught them, and that's all the education they have. But when they get into a discipleship or just walking with people is life changing. I was changing a battery this morning in my watch. Well, it didn't work. But a guy gave me a watch years ago, and I didn't know how to change a battery in a watch. I didn't drink coffee. I didn't wear clothes that were not ironed straight down. Um, my pants were never pulled all the way up. I learned so much being around godly people that were like pouring out to me. So, like, one of the greatest things I can think this morning as we were coming is discipleship absolutely changed the whole direction of my life, my family, my children. I mean, all my friends, all their families. I mean, it seems so insignificant. And like, man, I really don't want to go to this Tuesday night Bible study at Jack and Stacy's house. I mean, I got 100 other things I could be doing. But that will never change. There will always be something more important. But 10 years down the line, you'll look back and say, man, we were talking about Galatians 5:1, and the Lord spoke to my heart, and I started treating my wife differently. And my son began to look at me, and, just any story, you fill the blank in, anything. I mean, anything could happen. And maybe it's just an hour, but I'm just sharing. So these people helped me. I didn't know how to talk to people with respect. I did not. I did. Honestly, the Lord told me I'd marry her, and he said, you got to wait. He didn't tell me I had to wait 2 years. He said, you just have to wait until you're ready. And I don't like to hear it. Do y'all like to hear that? Who determines when you're ready? I was so mad. I was like, I don't have any say so. He was like, nope. So I had to wait 2 years before I could take her on a date. But you know what? It was great. I didn't know how to treat a woman. Nobody had ever taught me that. Nobody ever told me to talk to her with respect, not belittle her. I didn't even know what belittling was till the Lord taught me. Isn't that wild? I just thought that you just tell them what to do. Hey, get over here and cook some food and, blah, 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 That's all I'd ever seen. The other guy that I used to live with, his daddy used to hit his mom with a frying pan. Throw her out the front door, like real good influence, right? Yeah, way to go. Try that in church. Yeah, let Christine come up here and tell that story. I'm afraid of Christine, so don't worry. Yeah, don't worry. The prayers that I was praying as a person coming into the church, they were answered when I was with these people doing life, discipleship, leaders, church friends. That's all it was. It was Ephesians 4:11, which is a very long scripture, but I'm going to read it. All right, you ready? All right. So Christ himself gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors, the teachers to equip his people for works of service, so the body of Christ would be built up until we all reach the unity in faith and the knowledge of the Son of God and become mature, attaining the whole measure of fullness in Christ. I was not mature. I was immature. Ask Christine. Then we will no longer be infants tossed back and forth by the waves and blown here or there by every teaching and by the cunning craftiness of people and their deceitful scheming. Instead, speaking the truth in love, we will grow to become in every respect the mature body of him who is the head, that is Christ. From him, the whole body, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love as each part does its work. So literally, we have the opportunity to grow together, and it makes Christ. It makes him, like it forms him as we're together. I mean, I was thinking driving here, all the things that I've learned about Mr. Jack, David, just everybody. I remember whenever I got my EMT license, I was playing golf with Mickey, Jack. I think Jack was there, and Brad and David. And like to have that kind of memory, I remember how excited, because it took me eternity to pass this test. I studied to this, I don't even know, I think the book is 3,000 pages. And you have to know almost everything that could happen in life for a human or an infant. And, to get that kind of like result, like with around, that's a memory, that's a milestone. I know me and Ryan, we've been walking together for over 10 years. Like all the things that we've learned together, I still have Ryan's tools at my house. I am so sorry. I love you. But that's how life is, right? I don't know how to work on something, so I call him. Hey, man, I don't know how to do this. And I sure don't like to do that. Normally, I know how to do it all, right? I'm just kidding. I really don't know how to do it all. But if I don't, I know somebody. Hey, man, I know a guy that can wire a guitar up and play a song right there. I mean, we all have our part in each other's lives, but there's going to be people that come in here and they're going to say, hey, I really don't know how to do this. I don't really even know how to treat my wife. I've been treating her like this for 10 years, and boy, she doesn't look happy. Well, hey, man, I'll tell you what, I didn't know anything. So if a dummy like me can get it, you can sure get it. Here's, and just, hey, let's go to Walmart. My friend Ben used to pick me up and, hey, let's go to Walmart. And I would learn more about life and Jesus in that Walmart trip than I learned on a Sunday morning. Because he would run into somebody that he had stole from or robbed. Just how he would treat him, I was like, oh. He was like, yeah, I robbed that guy years ago. Man, I'm going to tell him I'm sorry. Like, well, that was years ago. He can get over it, He wrote letters to all the people that he did wrong. And he told them, hey, I'm going to start paying you $5 a week. They used to hang him, his friend used to hang him by his feet, and he would reach in dumpsters to try to get needles out of it so he could shoot dope, stick it in his arm. Isn't that wild? Man, Jesus flipped that guy's life upside down. He became the dean of students at Evangel. He was over the rehab, and now he's over at Gateway and Prosper or something. Isn't that wild? Just like crazy that this guy, we're just going to Walmart, Just recently, this happened to me. I took one of the kids, maybe it was both kids, and we went to the ice cream place. I really didn't intend on going way to Uri Drive. It's like going to Texas. Like when y'all came to my house, it was like going to like Monroe. Yeah. It was like going to Texas to go to Uri Drive Walmart. And I go in and I see this huge guy. He's like 6'5", 280. And immediately we're staring at each other. And I'm looking at him. He's looking at me. And about 20 years ago, him and 30 of his friends beat the brakes off of me in the trailer park. I mean, they beat me so hard I didn't remember it. They were like, yeah, you went to the hospital. And I was like, really? That's crazy, But we stared at each other the whole time. So he had his family and I had my kids, and I really didn't know what was going to happen. And I was like, God, I hope this is over. I don't want no more of that. Man, I don't want to you're going to hurt my back or something. I'm just going to lay down. But he looked at me and I knew, so the next day I did try and kill him. Okay. All right. I'm going to admit I did try and kill him. We all loaded up and searched the city. I'm sorry. All right. I wrote it in a book, so it's not a crime. We didn't touch anybody. But his daddy called me on the phone. Hey, I heard that you're coming to kill my son. Please don't kill him. This guy's bigger than me. Like he could kill me easily. But if there's a Cedar Grove kid coming for you, I'd be a little nervous. I'd just be a little nervous. So I was so mad, so angry. Somebody actually forced us to hang out probably about 15 years ago. They said, hey, I know you guys have problems, but I want y'all to hang out and not have any problems. So we didn't speak. We just sat at the same table and looked at each other, and I guess it was kind of peace. But when I went to this ice cream shop, I was like, all right, Lord, I'm ready for whatever you want to do. And I hate saying that because, anything could happen. You have to hug them or something. And he looked at me and he goes, what's up, man? And I said, hey, how you doing? And that was it. It was so brief, but there was kindness and there was just hatred that was dropped. And I had the idea too late. I was going to pay for all of their ice cream, which I didn't know how much it was going to cost, but I was just going to pay for it just to bury anything. But it was a little too late. And I'm kind of bummed, but I hope I get that opportunity again. But just having stuff like that happen, just to reconcile something so long ago, I wanted to do it. But there was a time that I was standing on the hood screaming at the phone, tell me the address. There was such hatred, I'd never been beat up like that my whole life. I was always given, or, whatever. It was never fair either, So it was coming for me, right? You're going to give a bunch of whoopings, you're going to get one. But that, I don't know. I think it's really cool that we get around that people that come in, like Mickey said, the prodigal. I was a prodigal, just a little bit. But a lot of us in this room were prodigals. And I think the Lord's got a great idea. He brings the prodigals in, he disciples them, and he brings more in. And he just keeps doing that thing. And he loves it. I don't want to be the older brother. I don't want to do it. But I've been the older brother before. Hey, how did he fast track that program? Y'all made me wait a year. Man, I didn't get up there and serve and do the music. Y'all had me on some kind of, and, I would go back and forth in and out of church, and, I think I relapsed about 10 times, I had that thing maxed out. But that was me too. I was like, oh, I can't program them like I got programmed. I don't want to be programmed. And so I think it's really neat that we always get an opportunity to do it the Lord's way, Well, you got to come to this meeting first and you got to go here. I used to do that and it sucked. They would always be like, I'm leaving. I'm like, yeah, I don't blame you. I'm sure. I'm sure. I stayed because I had to. Oh. But Jesus is full of compassion for us and for them. And I think about these movies they have on TV, The Chosen, how he talks to them with such compassion. I was watching, I don't know what the name of the episode is, but Jesus was telling the Pharisees things are about to change. And he did it with such love, but boy, their minds were just smoking, like, what do you mean? You're going to tear the church down in 3 days? What's wrong with this guy? And like when he tells me something and I'm going to share some stuff he said to me and it has made my mind smoke. And I'm like, what? Even this morning headed here, I was like, Lord, you've given me all these pieces. He's like, yeah, I've hidden some pieces just on purpose. And I was like, that is so hateful. Why? That is so mean. But he knows how we tick, and he's a picker. He's a picker. I don't know if you noticed, but Jesus is a picker. And I like to pick. I don't really like to be picked back, but he is, he loves to get your attention. Does that make sense? And he knows how to do it. You know, you'll just be going about your day and doing your thing, and he just swoops in and, you know, lays something on you. I'm going to throw some of these out there, and intentionally, I want you to begin to think about how he has just smoked you, or just dropped something in your spirit and just caused you to go, wow, hold up. I thought that I was, but it was really good every time that he would do something like that to me. All right, so this was pretty recent. This one got me good. So I was at my son's school. You know, they had this pumpkin carving contest. It's called Pumpkin Light Night. You know, they make these pumpkins, and literally they're over 100 pumpkins, because, you know, every one of them kids carves it out. They have a big like event. They were singing a song. Deacon was so excited. I was like, all right, let's go. You know, and there's tons of kids and parents. So the next day, I was like, all right, I've got to go paint a car because the weather's changing. So my work is ran off the weather app, literally. I'm like, okay, it's got to be a certain, I mean, the paint ain't going to dry. And if you go to painting something in the cold, you're going to hate your life real fast, in a hurry, because it don't like nothing cold. It just goes, ah. And then you got to wipe all that off and start all over and hope it doesn't go again, you know? So I go there to go get this pumpkin, and I thought it was going to be quick and easy, right? Do we like easy? I love easy. I have never had easy. I don't know why I like it, but I've never had easy. But I still want it. I want easy. I don't want hard. I don't want takes a lot of time. I don't want any of that, right? I don't want a crock pot. I don't want a skillet. I barely even want the microwave. I'd like for that thing to cook itself, you know? So I go there and I'm like, all right, let me get this pumpkin and get the heck out of here, you know? Well, I go there to get the pumpkin. Well, then I have to go see this lady. Well, then the gate, you got to go to the gate. Well, the gate's locked. Okay. Well, I was like, all right, there's no lady by the gate and the gate's locked. They're like, oh, Lord. I'm like, yeah, oh, Lord. So what are we going to do now, you know? And she's like, all right, somebody's coming out there. I was like, okay. So, of course, they come out there with a buggy. She's trying to figure out which key. And I'm like, oh, Lord, help me. I'm manifesting, Lord. Help her find the key, Lord. I'm going to jump the gate, you know? And so she gets the key in there, and then she wants to talk. I'm like, oh, my goodness. So now me and her are talking, and she's pushing a buggy, and she's telling me about her son that's in Bayou Dorcheat. And I'm like, oh, that's great. That's wonderful. That's a wonderful place. She's like, you know, that's a prison. I was like, yeah, yes, ma'am. I know. Yeah, I know. And she's just telling, oh, he works there. And I was like, oh, that's great. You know, blah, blah, blah. I'm not listening to it. You ever seen that thing where his ear's really big and it's going right out the other ear? And the Lord says, hey, just so you're aware, you're going to help her pick these pumpkins up. And I said, oh, no, brother, not me. So I'm looking around like, you must have been talking to somebody else, and I caught that word. You know, no, he's talking to me. I said, oh, no. So we go all the way around the corner. You know, my son's pumpkin is all the way on the other side. So we get halfway there, and the other lady done picked his pumpkin up, threw it in the buggy, and threw a bunch of them on top. And she's like, get on out of here. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, y'all turn around and go the other way. And I was like, no, I'm here to get a pumpkin. She's like, I don't care. I said, okay. So now I'm in a pickle. I got to get the pumpkin, and now I got to wait. So now we turn around, and she starts picking pumpkins up. I said, oh, gosh. Here we go, Lord. So I start picking pumpkins up, stick them in the buggy. It's like my hair's falling out of my arms, and I was like, I probably have horns coming out the side of my head, and I'm getting some more in there. I'm like, I've got to go to work. I've got to go to work. You know, and Paisley's like, Dad, we got to go to work. I'm like, I know, shh. You know, and so we're sticking pumpkins in there, and that lady is hollering at this lady here. I mean, hollering at her. And I'm like, I don't know what we're doing wrong. We're picking the pumpkins up, you know. Well, so then it got to a point where we started destroying some of the pumpkins. So we were like, okay, let's keep going, and then we'll come back. Oh no. This lady behind us, what is wrong with you? She's hollering. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's finna throw something at us. And she's like, she's so hateful. She's so mean. She's so hateful. I mean, they were hollering at each other. And I am just trying to get my pumpkin and get out of there. I just want to get out of the gate and run. But I figured out that the Lord let me stay there to be with that lady and talk to her. She was divorced or something, and just having trouble working on her car. She's trying to find a part for her car, and she was just wanted somebody to listen. And I was not in. Didn't have time to listen. Right, I was busy. Right. Right. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, that don't work. Yeah. So I had to just suck it up and do what the Lord wanted me to do. Right. See, it's supposed to be exciting. Lord, let's do what you want to do. No, 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 no. Every time I hear his stories, I'm like, gosh, this is me every time. Oh my gosh, that's me. So I did. I listened to her all the way there. And by the time I got my pumpkin, they were screaming at each other. You ain't going to cuss me like that. I was like, oh, I got to get out of here. I've got to go. And I got in the truck. I was like, Lord, help that lady. Don't let her cuss at her like that no more. But I was like, that's so mean. But I used to have somebody cuss at me, but you just kind of let it roll. Somewhere down your back is where really bad cuss words go, and you just let them fall down your back. Right? I don't know. There's just not much you can do. Then I was in Walmart with Paisley. I think we were getting some. I was taking something back for Christine. Well, I seen this person that had gotten in an extremely bad car wreck and had to be life flighted. I mean, we thought never see her again. Young person. They're going 93 and hit a tree, and it was bad. So, Walmart getting eggs and huge scar from here all the way down to here. It's bad. And the Lord said, you tell that person that my glory comes out of them scars. And I was like, wow, that word there is serious. Just think about it. We all have scars inside or outside. And that's how his glory comes out of us, like windows. And I was trying to forget this word this morning. No, I did not get a chance to tell her. I was so mad. Christine, I was talking on the phone, and I didn't want to be rude. And I should have said, hey, I have to share something. Let me call you back. But I didn't want to hang up on her because I'm trying to be a better husband. I'm trying to be good and not short. So, but I will get a chance to share with her because she came to our fire station and had to do community service one time. Yeah, she beat somebody up. But they won't say nothing to her again. Yeah, she did. She whooped them. Yeah. Usually we get a lot of people coming there cleaning fire trucks. So I always like to talk to them. They're like, John, go talk to one of your little cronies. And I'm like, oh, that's so hateful. Y'all are so mean to me. You guys are hateful. But they can tell if you've been, on the dark side, they can tell. We had some prisoners come help us put hoses on our truck, and they immediately figured it out. This guy, he used to be a bad boy. So they were like, hey, John, hurry up, John, let's go. And I'm like, I'm going to get you a junior fireman hat and you keep talking, So now they call the prison guys all my buddies. They're like, oh, these are John's buddies. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. Even the chief was like, hey, John, you know any of them guys from a long time ago? I said, no, I don't know them, Chief. I don't know them. So me and Christine were chatting just about house stuff and, life. And I was thinking about just different things we talked about. And I was out there cleaning sticks up or something, doing something around the house. I think we were getting cleaned up for the party, maybe something like that. And I was thinking about what we were talking about, and like you, I was just began to think about it and ponder on it. Well, what about this? What about that? And the Lord said, John, do you trust me? And I was like, oh, you got me. Oh, you got me. No. But he's got me like that before, because if you think about it for a minute and you move on, you'll be all right. But if you just think about it and you just think about it and you just think about it, you're going, you're going to pay for that one, because it makes you think. Then you try to control it. Then you try and fix it. Then you try and make it all fluffy and pretty or whatever. That's the Lord's job. And that's what he got me. He's like, do you trust me? Well, when I don't have to, I don't. And when I have to, I do. How about that? That's a good answer, right? No, but essentially, yeah. But he got me good on that one. So I don't really have a scripture for that one. But I did find this, and I thought it was very fitting as I was thinking about, it's cool to think about all the words that God's ever given you. There's life on words he gave you 20 years ago. You can think about it and go, man, I remember where I was. Isn't that strange? When God speaks to you, you're like, wow, man, yeah, okay, wow, that really changed like my direction. Even at the shop, I was at the shop the other day, and I seen the leaves falling. And my shop's in the country. If you ever been to my shop, it's way out there. You don't accidentally get to my shop. Yeah. You got to fly on a plane and it drops you off, but yeah, then you find the nearest raccoon and he'll tell you where to take a left. But the leaves were falling, and I'm a pretty fast-paced person. And I just stopped and I was just looking, and I was like, wow, I feel God and I see him. The leaves were falling, and then the wind stopped. And I was like, wow, man, I wish I could stop more often like this. If I was in a deer stand right now, this is all I would be doing. Wind, leaves, where's the deer? But stopping like that's important, because if not, then you're going to be like a chihuahua, and you're just going to be chasing your tail right around in circles. But it just for a brief second, God stopped me, met me, slowed me down. It was less than 5 minutes, I'm telling you. There was no music playing. There wasn't a sermon. It was 5 minutes and just stopped. And it was wonderful. And I was like, all right, everything's going to be all right. This is great. Okay, I'm good. So he speaks in circumstances, wise counsel, peace, people, dreams and visions, our thoughts, natural manifestations, the Bible, supernatural manifestations, and a whisper. And I have a scripture for all of them if you want. Jonah 1-4 is circumstances. He swallowed that boy up, right? He swallows us up sometimes too, right? Sometimes it could be a circumstance, or maybe you're not feeling good and he swallows you up by your bedroom. You're stuck in there. You ain't going nowhere. Or like me, swallows you up and says, here's the flu, And I'm like, oh my God, I got to sit in here and pray. The poor kids, we don't know what to do, Daddy. And I'm like, there's nothing you can do. I'm sick. I'm a baby, man. I can't handle it. I don't like it. Wise counsel, the whole book of Proverbs is wise counsel. Peace is Colossians 3:15. People, they will come from anywhere. What was hard for me, and probably in the last 5 years, I just now allowed lost people to speak into my life. I didn't know God could speak to lost people to me. It's crazy. Isn't that wild? Yeah, there was like categories. You ain't been in the Word, you can't speak to me. That just limits. What's bad is Jesus will move in your limitations. But he doesn't care about your preferences. She didn't say amen. But whatever. Dreams and visions. Jacob, Peter, John, Solomon, Joseph, all these guys. Whatever he needs to get your attention, he'll do it. Our thoughts is Amos 4:13. Natural manifestations is Romans 1:18. I think the best thing that we could ever do is hear his voice. That's it. There's really nothing else. People ask me, John, how did you get from jail to here? And I said, I don't know. I do not know. There's nothing. I tried to do all the things that I could do to set myself up for a good life when I got out of jail, and it went right down. Right? See, I don't know how to do life. Unless Jesus tells me what to do, I don't know what to do. Because I have some good ideas, but where do they lead? It's going to be toilets. I mean, it's just everything's going to go right down. Because I don't know how it works. He knows how it works, what I'm ready for, what I need. He knows everything. He knows what's coming. He knows what I've been through. So I would tell you, I don't know what to do, man. I don't know what to do. And I used to get irritated. I would call Mickey, man, I don't know what to do, Mickey. I just don't understand the kingdom anymore. He's like, thank God. Golly, that's awesome. That is great, man. You should be proud. And I was like, I'm not. I just feel so indecisive. I don't understand. He's like, that's good. This here will mess you up. It will. This thing here will try and, I mean, you get your hands on it. Well, this is what it needs to be doing. But you don't know what's coming next week. So how can you make it, mold it and everything, and next week's going to change? I mean, that would be like taking every bit of money you have right now today. I'm putting everything right now today in ramen noodles Monday morning, 9 o'clock. Ramen noodles are going to go skyrocket. Well, I can tell you what, ramen noodles are always going to be selling. But if you did that, it's going to be the biggest gamble you've ever had in your life, you know. So whatever he wants to do, just listen. Just listen. That's all I know to do, is just listen to what he's saying. I think I got ahead of myself, which is fine. Ah, yes. So, the thing that I want most, I was thinking about this really in October. What do I want out of life? What is life about? Helping each other and listening to his voice. I mean, and there's a lot of things that wrap around that. Kids are involved in that, and they see, hey, you know, this is kind of how we live. You know, everything flows off of that. How you do life and just what you want out of life, you know. And to me, I've had a lot of things in life. I've had a lot of money. I've been broke as a joke where I couldn't even pay attention. I've had a lot of cars. I've had a lot of jobs. I've had a bunch of jobs. I've done all kinds of careers. I mean, I'm trying to think of a career I could do next. I don't really know. I didn't want to do the one that I'm doing right now. Honestly, I was really scared. I don't want to do this. But now that I'm doing it, I love it. It's great. It's so cool. And there are other times where I see my life flash before my eyes. But, I mean, it is still fun. I love it. But what I want most is Christ. Deep down. I mean, you know, I was thinking about, I don't know if I read this or I just remembered somebody saying it. If you have a whole bunch of money, you're just going to spend a lot. That is the truest statement. It is. I mean, if you don't have money, you're writing a list. When I do get money, these are the things I'm gonna buy. I mean, that's that's what I've done before. But here's what's funny is whenever money comes, I'm like, I don't want to spend it on that. You just become a tightwad. But at the end of the day, the only thing that's stable is Him. It doesn't matter if you have $1 or $1,000,000. It doesn't matter. It's still back when I didn't have a budget. Listen, I used to not have a budget. When my friend told me, he sat me down in his house and out there by Flournoy Lucas, he's like, "Hey, you finna get married, you need a budget." And I was like, I've never needed a budget. He said, "I can promise you, you've needed it. You just haven't had it." And he sat me down and showed me a budget. I was so blown away. I was like, "You actually live like this? Like you pay these bills on a certain time?" Are you kidding? I thought it was optional. You just pay them right before they cut it off. What are you doing? Why are you living so structured, man? What's wrong with you? This guy laughed so hard because that's how I lived. I didn't care. I mean, I would just blow my money on whatever I wanted. I had no respect for money. I just did not. Well, I mean, my friend, I've watched him. God has blessed this guy. He used to live in Highland, and Highland was a nice neighborhood to me. That's nice. I like it. I like Highland. Way better than other ones. So now he lives in Stonebridge, and he drew his house. He drew it. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna sell this house, and we're gonna move to the other side." But he has always stayed the same. His character has never changed. His integrity has never changed. He's never acted different ever towards me. But he always asked me, "How's your budget? How's your life?" I said, "I guess it's good. Ask the lady in there. She knows." That girl is a budgeter. She could squeeze $9 out of a penny. I'm telling you, I don't know how she does it all. But we laugh because he said, "Do you remember that time that you thought a budget was the stupidest thing?" And I was like, "Listen, if you hadn't shown me that, I'd probably be divorced. That would be one more reason I'd be divorced." But he knew that John doesn't know anything about money. I mean, to me, it was just like, whatever, I don't care. We'll pay them when they start blowing the phone up. And there's some people that live like that, and I was one of them. But, I mean, like, why pay them early? I don't know. I just give them, here's a little money. Don't shut the lights off. Let's keep going, Do we have to pay all that? Can we pay a little bit and just keep it going? Not good wisdom. Proverbs doesn't talk about doing that. So, but that's how life works. Is you have issues, you have problems, and then God speaks into them. Hey, this is an opportunity to be close or to grow. And I said, "Well, I don't want to do that. I'm already grown. I'm 42. I don't have to grow up anymore, right?" You ever heard somebody say, "I'm a grown man"? Well, obviously you're not. Maybe we are grown, but here is where we're going, and in our heart and in our spirit. That's one place I didn't know you had to grow. I thought, everything was, just there, right? But it matures, and mine has gotten mature-ish, and I like to be the child. I like to go back to the child, like little kids. If you have little kids and they ask these questions, how many of y'all have had little kids and they ask the wildest questions that you would never, "Oh my God, I can't believe they thought about that. I can't even believe that came out of their mouth." We were walking through the neighborhood the other day and Paisley goes, "Dad, I was shaking my hiney like this." And then I said, "That's inappropriate." And I said, "Who told you that word? Inappropriate. Where'd you learn that?" She's like, I just heard it." So how we live, it's their culture. That's their culture, Right now we're moving into November, which is like family, December. So all the culture that we have as a family that we look forward to, that is going to be there. I began to wonder, like, why is there such a richness on November and December? 2 months out of the year. There's 10 more months. Why just these 2 months is it so rich in family? I was sitting on the back porch at my sister's house, and we were swinging on the porch, because there's nothing else to do in the country. You're not going to talk on the phone. Your signal sucks. So we're just sitting there, and I'm like, what is it about this that makes this so rich? We have constantly put a time on the calendar and determined that we would meet here for years, years and years and years. Nothing special. This is a double wide trailer. There's nothing special. It's not the Taj Mahal. There's not gold. But we have constantly, y'all's too, whoever's house y'all go to, there's a richness of family and culture there. And that, to me, if I think about the Lord's presence, I feel like that is community. That is his family. And so that's really, it's that simple. It's really that simple. Getting us together. We have a culture here. I was thinking, driving here, I was like, our church has constantly met 10 a.m. Sunday morning. This is a culture. Some people live on that side of the river. Some people live on this side of the river. But they have come together and determined we are going to meet together and grow. Do you remember, was that a while back? Was that maybe about a month ago? But I've had this in my phone forever. I was thinking about this church maybe a year ago or two, and I heard the statement, you guys do a lot with a little. And I was like, do we? Do we now? Okay. Because there's a lot of huge churches around here, but we do a lot with a little. I've been in a lot of big churches, and they're not as close as we are. I'm just going to be honest. Me and Christine, we come from a really big church. But there was a core group, just like this. There was about this many people in that huge church that were close. And the rest of the other people would come in and probably sit on that row there, and they would be praying, God, I hope somebody says something encouraging, because when I leave here, I'm going to go this direction, But that happens, and that's saddening, and that's tough for me to think about, because, man, I'm like, gosh, I hope somebody said hi or smiled or, I remember I would come in church, man, I just hope somebody has a word for me. Jeez, man, and the Lord did have a word for me. Yeah. Go say hi. Jump in one of them groups. Do life, And it was hard. It was uncomfortable for me to get involved with people. I can tell you what's going to happen when you get involved with people. You're going to get mad, because I would get mad. They were like, hey, pull your pants up. I'm like, I ain't got to pull my pants up. It ain't in the Bible. What are you talking about? They wore robes, So I had a lot of valid excuses, right? Valid excuses. Well, that's not in the Bible. That's really all I have for y'all. Mainly it was about me. Sorry that I'm such a sinner. Sorry, guys. I won't trust God. I'm tell you what. There's a song that I told. I almost. It's not Dylan, right? It's Wyatt. I was like, that's his brother. This song, I don't know what it is about this song. It's probably not the song. It's probably just the Father's heart to us, and to the ones that 25 will bring. I don't know. I hope and pray, like Mickey was talking about, I'm not the older brother, and that I'll say, hey, good morning. It's good to see you. Hey, what are you doing this week? Just the other night, just us talking about golf. Man, I tell you what, that would be great. That's doing life. He's hungry to do life, and he's a good golfer too. I'm just gonna warn you. Well, yeah. All right, we'll play that.